First question is, what is the role of a Scrum Master in a Scrum team? Here, the interviewer wants to know if you understand the overall responsibilities of a Scrum Master position. And a possible answer could be that a Scrum Master is a servant leader who coaches the team in Scrum principles, facilitates Scrum events, removes impediments, and protects the team from external disruptions. Next up, what does servant leadership mean to you and how do you practice it? The purpose of this question is to understand your leadership philosophy and do you really understand what servant leadership means? Possible answer to this question is servant leadership means putting the team's needs first. And you practice it by removing blockers, enabling the team to work effectively, and creating an environment where the team feels empowered to make decisions. I think that would be sufficient. Next question, can you explain the Scrum framework and its key components? Here, the interviewer wants to test your understanding of Scrum events, roles, and artifacts. So the possible answer to this question is Scrum is an iterative framework designed for delivering value incrementally. It consists of roles like Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development Team. It has artifacts like product backlog, sprint backlog, and product increment. And the events in Scrum are sprint, sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Next question is, how do you facilitate a daily stand-up effectively? The purpose of this question is to evaluate your facilitation skills. And a possible answer is that you ensure that the meeting is time boxed to 15 minutes and focused on three most important questions. First is, what did you do yesterday? Second is, what will you do today? And third is, are there any impediments that you can help the development team with? Also, you help the team stay on track without dominating the conversation. Next up, what are the differences between Scrum and other Agile frameworks like Kanban or SAFe? Here, the interviewer wants to test your ability to differentiate frameworks. The possible answer to this question is Scrum focuses on time-boxed sprints with fixed roles like Product Owner, Development Team, and Scrum Master, and there are events and artifacts, whereas Kanban focuses on continuous flow with work in progress limits and no prescribed roles and events. SAFe is a scaling framework for large organizations which want to synchronize work across multiple teams. Next up, what tools have you used for managing Scrum processes? Here, the interviewer wants to test your familiarity with Agile tools. So you can share the tools that you have used in your past work experience. One possible answer to this question could be that you have used tools like Jira, Trello, Azure DevOps to manage product backlogs. You also have used tools to create burn down charts and track sprint progress, and these tools help streamline collaboration and reporting. Next up, how do you handle team members who resist adopting Scrum practices? Here, the purpose of this question is to assess your ability to address resistance to change. Possible answer, first you would have a one-on-one conversation to understand the root cause of the resistance, whether the resistance is due to lack of understanding, bad experiences in the past, or fear of change. And then you would educate them on how Scrum benefits both the team and the individual using real-world examples or using data to show its value. Next, how do you handle conflicts within the Scrum team? The purpose of this question is to evaluate your conflict resolution skills. And a possible answer to this question is that you create a safe space for team members to openly discuss their concerns and focus on resolving the root cause. You might also use techniques like active listening or conflict resolution frameworks to facilitate understanding and collaboration. And remember, the goal is that the team resolves the conflict collaboratively, and you have to ensure that it does not hinder their performance or morale. Next up, what do you do when the team consistently fails to meet sprint commitments? Here, the interviewer wants to assess your ability to address delivery challenges. The possible answer to this question could be that you would work with the team to review the cause. Is it because of the unrealistic planning that they are doing in sprint planning? Is it due to unclear priorities or external interruptions? You would also improve the backlog refinement process. You would try to set achievable sprint goals with the development team, and you will help the team prioritize better capacity planning. Next up, how do you measure the success of a Scrum team? Here, the interviewer wants to know how you are going to evaluate the success of a Scrum team using the knowledge of your Agile matrix. Well, the possible answer to this question is success is measured by value delivered to customers. And there are metrics like velocity, lead time, and sprint goal achievement that you can use to measure it. Also, team satisfaction and continuous improvement through retrospectives is a good indication of a successful Scrum team. Next question is, how do you promote continuous improvement within a Scrum team? Here, the interviewer wants to test your approach to fostering team growth. The possible answer to this question is that through effective retrospectives, you would encourage the team to reflect on successes, and you would also identify areas of improvement. You encourage the team to identify what went well, what did not go well, and what could be done differently in the future. You help prioritize actionable improvement items and ensure that these items are implemented incrementally in subsequent sprints. Next up, how do you manage stakeholder expectations during a sprint? Here, the purpose of this question is to assess your stakeholder communication skills. Here, the possible answer could be that you would encourage the product owner to involve stakeholders in sprint reviews and provide regular updates through progress reports or dashboards. If required, you would also try to educate stakeholders that they understand the importance of focusing on one sprint goal, and you would discourage frequent mid-sprint scope changes. Next up, how do you handle situations where a team member consistently underperforms? Here, the interviewer wants to test your ability to address performance issues. Possible answer could be that you start with a one-on-one with the team member to discuss the challenges. Is it because of personal issues? Is it due to skill-related or due to unclear expectations? If it is skill-related, you offer training or mentoring. If the expectations are not clear, then you ensure that their roles and goals are well-defined. And if performance doesn't improve despite your support, then you escalate to management or HR while maintaining professionalism. Remember that your aim is to help the individual and help the team. Next up, how do you handle organizational resistance to agile transformation? The purpose of this question is to assess your experience in agile coaching. Possible answer is that you start educating stakeholders on agile principles and start with small pilot projects to demonstrate measurable success, such as faster delivery, improved collaboration, or increased customer satisfaction. You also use these small successes to build momentum and gain broader buy-in across the organization. You would work to address concerns incrementally, fostering collaboration and buy-in through evidence of value. Next up, how do you ensure effective communication with distributed or remote teams? Here, the interviewer wants to evaluate your ability to manage remote teams. Possible answer could be that you rely on collaboration tools like Slack, Jira, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom for communication, and then you ensure documentation is thorough and establish clear communication norms such as regular stand-ups, time zone-aware meeting schedules, and shared documentation. Additionally, you create opportunities for team bonding like virtual coffee chats to foster trust and cohesion despite the physical distance. Next up, how do you contribute to fostering an agile mindset across the organization? The interviewer wants to test your influence beyond the team level. And possible answer to this question is that you advocate agile values through training workshops, coaching sessions, and by demonstrating the impact of agile principles through successful pilot projects, real-world examples, and results. Next up, what is velocity and how do you use it in planning? The interviewer wants to assess your understanding of velocity as a planning tool. Possible answer here is that velocity is the average amount of work completed in a sprint, and it is usually measured in story points. You use it as a guideline to help the development team forecast future sprint capacity without overcommitting or underutilizing. It is important to explain that velocity is a team-specific measure and should not be compared across different Scrum teams. Next up, how do you foster a self-organizing team? The purpose of this question is to assess your ability to empower teams. Possible answer is that you start coaching the team to take ownership of their work and decisions. You avoid micromanagement, you focus on creating a trusted environment and encourage collaboration and problem solving within the team. Next up, what do you do if the product owner is not prioritizing the product backlog effectively? The purpose of this question is to evaluate your ability to collaborate with product owners. Possible answer to this question is first you would have a conversation with the product owner to understand the challenges. Is it because of unclear priorities? Is it because of stakeholder pressure or lack of experience in product management? You would coach the product owner on effective backlog prioritization, making sure that the product owner focuses on delivering value. Remember that your role is to support the product owner while ensuring that the development team has a clear and actionable backlog to work from. Next up, how do you handle a situation where stakeholders demand updates outside of Scrum ceremonies? The interviewer wants to assess your ability to balance transparency and team focus? And the possible answer to this question is that you would create a transparent reporting mechanism, for example, a progress dashboard, to provide real-time updates without interrupting the team. You would also educate stakeholders on the purpose of sprint reviews for consolidated feedback. Next up, how do you address unexpected scope changes during a sprint? Here, the purpose of this question is to test your ability to maintain focus and manage disruptions. Possible answer is that you work with the product owner to assess if the change is necessary for the current sprint or if it can be added to the backlog for future consideration. If the change is critical, you would facilitate a discussion with the development team to determine whether adjustments can be made without affecting the sprint's overall objectives. If it cannot be accommodated, then this needs to be renegotiated with the sprint goal, or perhaps even cancel the sprint to start a new sprint with these unexpected scope changes as part of the sprint planning. Next up, can you describe a challenging project you facilitated as a Scrum Master and how did you handle it? Here, the interviewer wants to evaluate your problem-solving skills and real-world experience. A possible answer could be that when your team was struggling with constant scope changes during the sprint, then it was affecting their ability to focus and deliver. So you work closely with the product owner to ensure better backlog refinement, and you help the team communicate more clearly with the stakeholders about the importance of sticking to the sprint goal. Next up, how do you ensure that the team meets deadlines without compromising quality? Here, the purpose of this question is to evaluate your ability to balance delivery speed and quality. Possible answer is that you ensure that the team focuses on achievable sprint goals by realistic capacity planning during sprint planning. You also emphasize following the definition of done, automated testing and code reviews to maintain quality. And during the sprint, you monitor progress closely and help remove any blockers for the development team. Next up, how would you address team burnout during a project? The purpose of this question is to evaluate your ability to maintain team morale. Possible answer is that you would try to identify the causes of burnout. Is it because of unrealistic expectations? Is it because of high workload? And you would try to address them by ensuring sustainable pace, improved planning process, and encouraging breaks. You would also facilitate team building activities to boost morale. Next up, how do you onboard a new team member into an existing Scrum team? Here, the interviewer wants to assess your ability to integrate new team members effectively. Possible answer is that you introduce the new member to Scrum framework and team norms. You try and pair them with experienced team members for mentorship. You involve them in all Scrum ceremonies and ensure that they understand their role in achieving the sprint goal. So I hope these 25 questions help you prepare better for your interview. If you find this video insightful, then please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.